do the show, What is a Little Girl Supposed to Do? The show is about survival, perseverance, and redemption.
So my name is LaShonti Turner, and I was born here in Portland, Oregon, but I moved from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, Washington when I was 10.
My name is Balinda Beltran, and I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. My parents, they came from Mississippi in 1952. My father, my own blood father, molested me.
Your biological father?
Yes. He molested me at the age of 5, and he threatened me and told me not to say anything to anyone. And if I did, he was going to hurt me. And I can remember exactly how everything came down. And so I carried that all my life. I never told my mother about the situation until I was 18.
And so did it continue, or was it just that one time when you were 5, or did it, you know what I mean? Did it happen? Tell me, like...
Yes, it continued, but the blessing of it all, my mother ended up getting separated from him, and eventually they got a divorce. When I turned 16, I wanted to visit my family. My dad had moved back to Chicago, where the rest of his family was. So I wanted to, be with my father and to meet my other relatives. So when I went to Chicago to visit with my father, he tried to do it again.
When I was molested, I feel that it led me into the adult industry that I was in. It made me more comfortable being able to become a stripper, dancer. It just made me more comfortable in order to be in that world, in that industry, I think, for myself. It made me not trust men. To me, being molested, it made me so unsure of a lot of things. I have 2 children. They both have different dads. I never lived with my children's fathers, ever. I don't know how it is to have a relationship with a man and a woman in a house together. I don't know what that feels like, because I've had insecurities when it comes to trust. And just in relationships. And to me, by me being molested as a young child, when I turned 18 and I became a dancer, became an exotic entertainer, in my mind, it was, if you have the money to see me dancing on stage, this is no big deal. In exchange, I'm showing you something. In exchange, you're giving me something. You're giving me money, and I'm performing a show. So my body wasn't necessary. I didn't look at my body as necessarily being like the sacred temple that it was supposed to necessarily be. My body there was a price for it, and it was okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I think back, that relationship that I had with my father, I was a very shy person. I was very shy, and I really kept to myself. I didn't do too much talking to people. I didn't trust people. That was the effect on me.
And see, I was shy. People just didn't know that I was. I was shy, very shy. I was very insecure. When people would say that they thought I was cute or whatever it is, I never understood, and I told you that just the other day. I never understood why people thought that way, because I did not see what people saw. I didn't.
And that, it affected me differently. It never changed what I thought about myself.
Okay.
Because I used to go through a lot with girls being jealous, because, keeping it real, I was a very cute girl. And a lot of girls were jealous. I had long, pretty hair and, dressed nice. So I learned at an early age that, hey, you're not paying me, and I'm not going to worry about what you think of me as long as I'm being the best me. I learned that at a very early age. So it didn't affect me in that way, in a negative way. It made me feel stronger about myself, and I knew what I needed to do. Because when I was in high school, I worked at a grocery store right across the street from where we lived, off of 15 and Prescott. It was Sam and Ollie's grocery store. Okay. I was a sophomore in high school, and her father would come into the store when I was only a teenager. I was only like 16 years old, but I was still, formed like a young woman. And so he was coming in there smiling and all this. And I finally decided to go out with him, but I was graduated from high school, but I didn't realize he was a lot older than me. I was 17 years old when I graduated from high school, and he would come into the store, and then he finally asked me if I would go out on a date with him.
So you were 17. How old was my dad?
Your dad was 29.
Wow.
Yeah, he was
29.
But I didn't know how old he was.
But still, him 29 and you were 17.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he looked younger than his age.
So he was a grown man.
He was a grown man.
He was 12 years older than you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So he took advantage of me.
Absolutely.
He took advantage of me, and he became violent very early on in the relationship.
My first encounter was with a family friend. With the family friend of ours. I grew up to him being my uncle, and he was my first person that I had sex with when I was 17, and my mom did not know that we were having sex. I got pregnant. I told my mom that I got pregnant from somebody else that I was dating in high school, or I was dating in middle school, but he was not the person who I got pregnant with. It was by our family friend.
Leo, my children's father, the first time he abused me, it came as a shock. This is before I had children and before I married him. I was tired of how he was treating me already, but he had never hit me. But this day, he came to my home. I was living with my brother and my brother's girlfriend. He came and said he wanted to talk to me. And I told him, I didn't really want to talk, but he pleaded with me and said, come and get in the car. He said, we'll just talk outside the house. And I said, okay. So I went with him, got in his vehicle, and he took off with me in his vehicle. He drove around the corner, a few corners, and as soon as he stopped the car, he got on top of me and started choking me and punched me with his fists in my eye. And he called me bitches and all this other stuff, talking about how I'm not going to be leaving him. If I leave him, he was going to kill me. And I cried, and he took me and wouldn't let me come home for a few days. And when I finally went back home, I was frightened, because I had never knew that he was this violent. And that was my first experience of being scared of this man. I stayed with him. I believe I was with him a total of 5 years. It kept going back and forth. I would leave him, then he would find out where I was. He would come and kidnap me, take me, and it was weird. And he would say, I love you. And I'm like, this is a strange kind of love. I said, my own father never whooped me. And you're a man and you're thinking it's okay to beat on me. And so I understand sometimes why women stay with the abuser, because of fear. When they threaten you so much, it's like, is it easier to stay with him, or should I take a chance and leave because he said he will kill me? And so I felt that it was easier to stay with them and be abused versus not being with them and being afraid to go outside. So it went on for a while. And what happened was I ended up moving to Chicago. I was already married to him. I had my daughter. She was only like 6 months old when I moved to Chicago, trying to get away and not really knowing too much about Chicago. I started getting lonesome for home and for him, and I would call. I would call from Chicago, we would talk, then he would promise, I'm gonna do better. So I ended up coming back. We got together and the abuse didn't stop. He got worse. He got worse. He would make me have sex with his friends and be abusive to me, and it was horrible. And it was bad. He would beat me with water hose, hangers. This went on. It was horrible. And the sad part about it is I'll never forget it. That's why I don't really care for some parts of Northeast Portland, because it's like a nightmare. He almost killed me when I was at Irvington Park. I had left him. And this was another time he was like, I need to talk to you. And so I got in his vehicle. He took me to Irvington Park. This was late at night. And he was so mad. He said, so bitch, you think you're gonna get away from me? And I'm like, I don't want to be with you. You're too abusive. And so he knocks me down in this area where the kids' sandbox is. He hit me and he picked up a 2x4 stick and was beating me. I was down on the ground. He was beating me in the back of my head. I could feel myself dying. My body started getting heavy, and I was just ready to give up. But thank God I heard the cries of my daughter here. She was crying. She was like, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. And it woke me up. And I'm like, I'm not going to die like this. And from that day forward, I left.
Started dating this guy that I knew from middle school. So then I automatically thought that it would be okay to start dating this person because I feel like I know this person.
Yes.
It had been years. It had been years that I had seen him. I kind of had heard how life was going, things like that. We're in a small community, so I had heard, but as far as seeing him and having an interpersonal conversation with him, it had been since middle school. And I remember when I started dating him, my daughter said that there was something about him that she didn't like. I remember she said that. She was like, Mom, it's something about him I just don't like. I understand that you've been knowing him since middle school, but there's just something about him I don't like. And then I introduced him to you, right? Yes. And then I can kind of tell that you seemed like you were observing, you were analyzing him.
Well, I told her, I said, he remind me of your father. I said, the look on his face and everything, I said, you can't trust him. I said, because he reminded me of your dad, and I think he will hurt you.
And she asked, she said, are you sure you don't want me to ride with you? Because I was taking him home.
Yes.
Right? Because they were coming out, because I was taking care of my grandma, and they wanted to take a picture. He wanted to take pictures of grandma during her Alzheimer's and her dementia stage in life.
Yes.
And so my mom had asked, she said, well, Shanti, are you sure I shouldn't go with you when you take him home? And I said, no, Mom, why would you say that? And I was like, everything is fine. You don't need to ride with me to take him home. And then they, he gave you a hug and said goodbye and talked about the pictures. And I think you guys were even talking about your poem. That poem, you had made that poem of the woman, she was pregnant, and it was like a mountain.
No, it was Mother Earth. I made Mother Earth.
Yes, Mother Earth.
Yes.
He was complimenting, remember? He was complimenting you on your poetry and all those wonderful things. And then, so anyways, my mom, I told her not to come. She stayed. And we were driving over the 205 bridge. And I don't know what was said. There was no argument, nothing. And he told me to let him out on the 205 bridge. Then I was like, I'm not going to let you out on the 205 bridge. That's crazy. I took him home. That was no big deal. I thought that was crazy. Got out. Next occurrence, we are at one of his children's graduation. And that mother, I don't want to say that that's the case, but that mother was there with the opposite race, and he made a comment about it. Ignored it. After the graduation, we go to a family member's house and we're having wine, and there's a show. I'm making a comment about there's some men that's on TV that are handsome men, but they are not my race, but they're handsome men. So I make a comment about it. Okay, so he wants to leave. When we're driving, he's telling me, you know what? You talk too fucking much. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. So he's taking my neck. He's strangling me, but he's slamming my head and the window.
You were driving, or
he's driving?
Oh,
he's driving my car.
Okay.
And while he's driving, he has my neck and he's strangling me, but he's slamming my neck and my head into the window. So I'm like, he was like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. You talk too fucking much. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I'm thinking, like, this person that I thought I knew is strangling me. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be fighting him right now because you're driving. I'm in shock. I ain't never been through this before. While we're driving, I noticed that there is a car and they're pulled over. And while we're at the light, I could see that the guy was punching this girl. And he was like, and you're complaining about what I just did? Look at how she's over there getting fucked up. And you're complaining about what I did? So he pulls over and the girl runs across the street. And when she runs across the street, he gets out of the car. And before he gets out, he was like, you better not fucking go nowhere. So when he gets out the car, he's consoling this woman.
Wow.
He's consoling her, telling her it's gonna be okay. She gets in the car, backseat.
Of your car?
Yes. She gets in the backseat of my car. And he was telling her to go ahead, give her your phone so she could call 911. Give her your phone so she could call 911.
He told you to give her your phone. Okay.
So she could call 911 on the situation that she was in.
Okay.
Okay. So she calls 911, and while she's on the phone calling 911, he has his hand on my knee, And he was saying, and you were complaining and you thought that it was so bad with you. And look at what she's going through. And you better sit here and don't say nothing. You ain't going nowhere. So she gets done with her phone call, and while he's giving her hugs goodbye or whatever, now I done got around and I'm in my driver's side, but I'm about to leave. I'm about to take off and leave him there, okay? He gets back in the car. I'm driving and I'm telling him, get out of my car, get out of my car, get out of my car. This is not okay. Just get out of my car. I'm driving, I'm like, I will literally, I know you have kids and I have kids. But when it comes to my life, of my babies and the people that I love, I will fight. And so I started driving as fast as I can. I put on the gas. And I just remember that he jumped out of the car while I was driving as fast as I could. And I did try to run him over. And after that, I ended up driving to my cousin's house, and she said that she had a feeling that something was happening with me. Called my cousin. From there, I called my brother, and my brother called my dad. Mind you, my dad has never met this person, but I did tell this person I was dating that I wanted him to meet my dad. I said, I really want you to meet my dad. I really want you to meet my dad. But he was like, I just really got to be ready to meet your dad. I really got to be ready to meet your dad. So I called my dad, called Muhammad. The police came, and dad said to the police, he said, I'm telling you right now, if my daughter does not tell you where this man lives, I will go there and I will kill him myself. So you guys just know I'm going to jail. So Shanti, either you tell him, you tell the police where he is and what his name is, or he's dying. Period in the story. So then the police started doing the lineup. They asked me his name, and they were doing the lineup, and my dad, I don't know how he did it, Mom, but Dad picked him out of a lineup.
Wow.
How does that happen? How did Dad pick him out of a lineup? He's never met him before. Never.
He knew something. Yeah.
Because maybe an abuser, they know an abuser.
Probably.
I want to tell about myself because I'm accountable for every single thing that has happened in my life. I'm accountable for every decisions that I have made. And I now know that it is so mentally damaging. It has been so mentally damaging for me to have that shame and that embarrassment of things that's happened to me, and it's been very mentally crippling. So if I can speak just about myself, all of the bad things, all of the good things, all the everything, if I could speak about myself, this is the very first time that I've ever done that because I think it's selfish. But if I could speak about myself and say, and if it's gonna help at least just one person, or to have that one person to talk to and relate to, and just to say, I want to go ahead and openly say about my stuff so I can let somebody know that there is somebody out there that really truly understands how it is to be abused, to go through mental illness, to be molested, and to be raped. I'm telling my story so that way of those who feel uncomfortable and ashamed to be able to do it, I'm gonna use myself.
thank you for tuning in to our podcast. What is a little girl supposed to do? Until next time.